All right, and welcome back to Dexterity Depot Chase Off 4. This is the open division. We seem to have worked out any of the kinks, hopefully, fingers crossed, that the internet issues that we were having. I am, again, your host, Jake Migliorato, Knight of Flight of the World Chase Tag 4 and team captain of GNF at past Chase Tag competitions. But right now we are focusing on our first match of the open division, second state Squonks against Nimbus. Winner of this match will face Dexterity Depot's home team. We have Tristan starting over by the ridge. Elijah tasked with taking him down. It's a rush over to the loading bay. And a very quick tag from Elijah. Beautifully done. Second state Squonks is going to put Canute up on the Chaser's plate. This is a big match. Every match today is single round knockout, as we will get down to the semifinals and finals later on today. We have Elijah starting over by the loading bay. Canute taking to center court to try to cut him off. Elijah crawling up the mountain over into the tilted cube, onto the top of the tilted cube actually. Strides over the sisters, waits just a little bit. Runs to the front line, fakes like he's going to go on the starter plate. Canute trailing behind him, a dive through the loading bay, but nobody's home. Elijah just running circles around the quad right now, keeping a lot of good distance. Time is running out. Canute with a last second dive, but the evasion is going to be given to Elijah, putting Nimbus on the board 1-0 very early on in this match. Squonks is going to have Evan up on the Chaser's plate to try to stop Elijah from touching that starter plate multiple times like he did yesterday. Elijah starting on top of the sisters. Climbs down, goes over to the tilted cube. Evan keeping the high ground on him, though, trying to trap him in a corner. It's juking back and forth, and reach goes out, and the tag was made. Beautiful work there by Evan. Closing the distance inside the tilted cube, keeping Elijah guessing where he was going to go next, and inevitably getting trapped and getting tagged. Now we have Fank up on the Chaser's plate. Donning the headband and the glasses as he does. Evan starting under the mountain, saunters over to the tilted cube. Under the mountain, Evan goes over to the loading bay. Frank making short work of these obstacles. Up to the top of the mountain, a swing and a miss by Frank. He recovers as Evan rounds around the sisters to the front line. Tries to get Frank off balance on the top of the front line. They run through center court. Frank very close behind him. Another swing, and a tag is made as time was running out. Frank securing the tag after a chaotic chase. Beautiful work done there. Evan keeping eyes on Frank, but all he saw was Frank getting closer and closer. Austin now up on the Chaser's plate. Try to stop Nimbus from getting any more of a lead than they have. Frank starts over by the mountain. Crouches underneath it. Austin cuts through center court. Frank runs directly at him towards the ridge. Jukes back and forth. He'll try to waste as much time there. Rounds around the loading bay. Fakes that he's going to go on top of the mountain, but goes underneath it. Catches Austin off guard. Austin stays close, though, as Frank doubles back under the sisters. Cuts to center court. Speeds up. Austin also speeding up as Frank launches himself into the corner. And Austin does the same thing and secures the tag. If this is any indicator of how all the chases are going to be, I don't think the quad's going to be here afterwards. Austin starting in between the loading bay and the ridge. Logan starting on the Chaser's plate. Logan wants to keep Nimbus in the lead here, even if it's by a point. Austin waits for Logan to get close to him. Cuts over by the mountain. Fakes that he's going to go underneath. Actually does. Stops by the loading bay. A bit of a slip from Austin. And that spelled disaster as Logan was able to capitalize and get the tag. We now have Caden of the Squonks up on the Chaser's plate. Will Logan climb to the top of the obstacles like we've normally seen him do? Seems like he's going to stay feet on the ground. Caden launches over the top of the front line. Logan doing the reverse high line. Caden following close behind him. It's a race along the front line. Logan rounds the corner around the ridge. Gets over to the loading bay. Decent amount of distance. Another reverse high line from Logan. A lot of distance now Logan has. Logan does the ridge breaker as the evader, keeping too much distance from Caden. Caden not able to close the distance. And Logan able to get the evasion, putting Nimbus up 2-0. As we move into the next chase, We have Tristan saying hello to Logan. Logan responded back. Logan starting over by the tilted cube. Again, feet on the ground. Not seeing him climb up high. Tristan takes to the top of the platforms on the front line. Logan wraps around to the top of the mountain. Cuts around the tilted cube over the sisters. Tristan following close behind, though. Logan keeping tabs on Tristan the whole time. They stop over by the ridge. Now it's a foot race behind them. Tristan trying to close the distance, a dive under the mountain, and Logan not able to get away. Tristan reaching his hand out and getting contact. Beautiful work there by Tristan. They do have a bit of a mountain to climb as we approach the halfway point of this match. Elijah up on the Chasers plate, donning the orange and black jersey, but he is on Nimbus, who are wearing the blue and purple jerseys. Tristan with a wave. I don't think Elijah heard it. Kind of cold, Elijah. Tristan starts over by the ridge, fakes that he's going to go to center court, but cuts back. Elijah immediately flushes him out, reaches down, and gets that tag very quickly. That is what Elijah wants. As he starts on the plate with Canute, we've seen this a couple times. Elijah likes to focus on the mental aspect of this game. Try to get in the head of your chaser. Canute's got to wonder where he's going to go right now. Both of them looking up at the time, waiting. Elijah takes off running over by the sisters. Canute takes the center court, tries to cut him down over to the tilted cube. Elijah jukes back on himself to the sisters again, wraps around the lazy boy to the front line, touches the starting plate one time. Keep a tally there. Canute following in suit, though, trying to set up traps, but Elijah getting away. Make it twice on top of the starter plate. He bounds over the sisters, through the mountain, spins, a reach, last-ditch effort from Canute, but nobody was home. So close. Canute throwing up a DTF sign, but I think he understands, or DTR sign. Canute knows there was no tag made. The lights went green, fair and square. Nimbus extend their lead 3-0 as we move into the 10th chase. Evan tasked with taking down Elijah. Elijah starts over by the ridge. No theatrics right now as he fakes and goes around to the loading bay. Slams on the mountain, kicks the mountain. Runs around to the ridge, takes to the front line. Now it's a foot race. Who's the faster man? Evan not able to catch him. Elijah goes over the sisters, stops at the tilted cube, but doubles back on himself. Evan again getting caught in this foot race. A bit of a stumble from Evan as he stays too close behind him for too long. And Elijah able to put another point on the board for Nimbus. 4-0. We approach match point. Squonks need a tag and consecutive evasions to even push it to sudden death. Elijah starting in between the mountain and the wall. Gotta hope he doesn't get stuck there. Austin runs directly at him to the top of the mountain. Elijah jukes back and forth, doesn't move an inch, and gets tagged. Austin is now tasked. He has to get 4 consecutive evasions to force sudden death. But the worst thing you can ever see is standing across from you, and that is Frank Mejia to try to stop you. A little bit of chatting from both of them. Austin starting over by the ridge. Frank launches off the starter plate, makes short work of the ridge. Austin, breakneck speed through the mountain, cuts back twice on himself, goes over the sisters. Frank not making a move just yet. Frank's doing more dancing than Austin is, trying to juke him out, but Frank able to get him in the opening and get the tag, meaning Nimbus will take that home 4-0. I am now joined here by Nimbus athlete, but in a Quad Talks jersey. You're making this pretty tough for us here. I'm joined here by Elijah. Elijah, please go ahead and let us know what your thoughts are on that match there.
I'm very tired. These boys have been putting in a lot of work, and they might be bottom of the seed and rankings right now. They've been putting in a lot of work, playing with high-level players. No one here is weak. We're all fatigued from yesterday. I can't breathe right now, but it's a great time, and these boys have been putting in a lot of work. I'm happy that we were able to keep them humble a little bit as we surprise ourselves, cinching it out.
Your next match will be against Dexterity Depot's home team, the top of the seed, and we're going to see what you guys are in store for, yeah?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, definitely.
Very nice. This has been Elijah from Team Nimbus. Elijah, it was a pleasure having you here. We can't wait to see you chase again.
Thank you.
We now move on to our next match, DTF, which of course stands for Dudes Tagging Fast and Nicks. Dudes Tagging Fast is consisted of Dan Van Diesel, Carson Palmer, Amos Rendau, and Dave Hagenboom. Nicks, Matt Hall, Dara DePaulo, Bennett Pearson, Michael Frazier, Nick Amblo, and Ethan Grindle. We have Dan of DTF up evading first, and Ethan track with getting him down. Dan retreats over to the loading bay. A lot of movement in those feet. Immediately darts over to the tilted cube, keeping his eyes on him at all times, faking, juking left and right. You got to get him out of here before too much time is ran. Dan takes to the front line. A lot of distance here, and it's a sprint around the perimeter for Dan. The distance never got closed. Beautiful work. Beautiful work from Dan there as he puts a very early point on the board. Going into chase 2. First match, first chase, first point. Now we have Matt Hall to try and track him down. Can he do it? Dan starting over by the ridge again. Matt immediately tries to cut to center court, get a little bit of early control here before Dan can play his game. Dan goes over by the loading bay. They're juking back and forth. Matt wants to set up a little bit of a spider, get a little bit closer to him in the loading bay. Dan, I think, hits his head on one of the bars, which stumbles him down to the ground. Matt able to capitalize on that. Rang his bell a little bit. He's up, though. Seems like he's okay. Safety is our number one priority here. We need to make sure all the athletes are keeping themselves safe. But it will count in a tag. Matt Hall up to evade with Carson on the starter plate. Carson immediately bounds over the front line. Matt jukes back and forth, goes under the sisters. Carson staying right above him to the front line as he doubles back to the sisters again, wraps around to the tilted cube. Carson reaches out, but nobody's there. Matt with a lot of distance right now as he approaches the ridge, tries to fix his shoe. May not be the right moment. It's a foot race around the front line. Matt stumbles, but Carson goes directly underneath him. The audience is going crazy. And Matt able to secure the evasion off of a stumble, but the recovery was too good, tying up the score 1-1 early on in this match. Matt's teammates asking if he's okay. Matt's walking to the corner saying, of course I am. I'm ready to keep going. An unbelievable recovery, but Dave Hagenboom tasked with taking him down, not letting this game stay tied for too long. Matt retreats under the mountain over to the tilted cube. Just saunters to the sisters a little bit too slow. Dave able to viper through the bottom and secure an early tag. Fresh athletes on both sides now. Dave starts over by the sisters. Very familiar for the international athletes. And Nick Amblo of Nicks. Let's see how many times his hat falls off today. I talked to him about it. He said, I'll super glue it on today. I said, no problem. Dave starts on the sisters. Precarious position, though. Nick gets closer to him, nice and easy. Doesn't make a strike just yet. Hops up on top of the tilted cube. Dave goes through the mountain over to the loading bay. Nick spiders into the loading bay, though. Swipes, grabs the shirt of Dave. And another quick tag is made as we approach chase 6. Dan right back up on the starter plate. Ready to chase down Nick Amblo. Hopefully get a tag. Nick wants to extend this lead again. They want another point very early on against DTF. Nick starting under the ridge, looks directly at Dan. Dan flushes him out as they both escape to the loading bay. Nick goes through the mountain, around the tilted cube, over the sisters, fakes that he's going to double back, but doesn't. It's a race on the front line. Dan above him. Nick just running around the perimeter as we get to the lazy boy, and the front line claims yet another soul like we saw yesterday. Dan able to reach out. It is very deceptive how much space you have there and how much room you have. The lazy boy is one of the hardest obstacles to get out from if you get stuck behind it. We now have Bennett up on the chaser's plate. Dan starting over by the ridge. Retreats underneath and goes back to the loading bay. Bennett just racing at him very quickly. Reaches a hand down, tags Dan before he can even get under the mountain. We now have Carson Palmer back up on the chaser's plate. Bennett over by the ridge. Both athletes waiting to go. Bennett staring at Carson. Lets him get a little bit closer before he runs, but runs a little bit too late, allowing Carson to cut down the distance, know that he was going to go to the loading bay, and he was able to cut him off and get the tag. Beautiful work there from Carson. Saves him a little bit of stamina, which he might need as we have Michael Frazier up on the chaser's plate. We watched this man jump and bound over every obstacle yesterday like they weren't even there. Will the same happen to Carson, or will he have learned from what he saw yesterday? Carson immediately escapes to the loading bay, goes to the top of the mountain, jumps over into the tilted cube. Michael Frazier just waiting as he gets into the mountain now. Chases after Carson. Carson looks back, but is able to get away from Michael. Michael with a dive underneath the front line, and contact is made. A beautiful tag. If that dive doesn't happen, Carson gets too much distance, but Michael Frazier made sure that didn't happen. We stay fully tied up as we go into chase 10. Dave Hagenboom up on the chaser's plate. Michael Frazier starting over by the ridge. Michael Frazier, a formidable chaser. Let's see how he does evading. Dave immediately flushes him out to the ridge. Bounds over the sisters like they're not even there. Dave slides through the tilted cube, but nobody's home when he gets through. Michael Frazier cuts back on himself in open land. Nobody's there. Dave above him descends down, and the front line yet again claims another as Michael Frazier gets tagged. Knicks throw in Ethan onto the chaser's plate. Dave starting over by the ridge. Not the usual sisters start that we saw from him before. Dave lets Ethan get a little bit closer to him. Tries to waste some time, but Ethan gets very, very close. No tag is made, though, even though they were basically on top of each other. Dave doing a lot of work out in the front line as he hops around to the ridge again. Cuts back to the loading bay, doubles back on himself. Ethan with another dive. This time he said, I'm going to get you. You're not getting away. Able to secure the tag. And we still remain all tied up 1-1 as we go into chase 12 of 16. Dan Van Diesel up on the chaser's plate, one of the international athletes that came over to compete at this competition. Maybe see what the American athletes have in store for the next Worlds. Ethan starts over by the ridge. Lets Dan get close to him. Dan flushes him out immediately. It's a center court race now. Ethan wraps around the tilted cube, but Dan cuts very close to each bar and gets the tag. Beautiful work. Ethan is so quick, but Dan, I think, might have just had the leg up and a little bit quicker. We have Matthew Hall on the chaser's plate. Dan starting in center court. I think he understands what's at stake here when going against Matt Hall. You're in store for at least a 20-second sprint. Dan jukes immediately to the ridge. Matt follows close, flushes him out over to the loading bay. Dan escapes to the top of the mountain, jumps into the tilted cube from there. Matt very close to him as Dan slides under the sisters, and Matt reaches a hand out and gets the tag. Matthew Hall moves around this quad in very interesting ways that you may not expect. So he gets through obstacles that you never would have thought that he would. And before you know it, he's right behind you and gets a tag on you. We have Carson up on the chaser's plate yet again. Matthew just kind of walking around the backside of the quad. Resides under the mountain. Carson immediately darts at him. Matthew escapes around the tilted cube over the sisters. We're in the front line. Carson hops up on top, wants to descend down. Matt jumps back over the sister, over the tilted cube. It's a race in the back of the quad. Matt sprinting along the perimeter, but Carson able to dive, reach that arm out, and get the tag. A lot of last-ditch effort dives from athletes here. If they don't get them, too much distance would happen. We are now at match point with 1-1. If DTF is able to get the evasion, they will win. Then it will, or if Nix gets the tag, it switches to match point for them. Nick Amblo up on the chaser's plate. Carson over at the ridge, staring at Nick. It's a race on the front line, sprinting up over the sisters to the tilted cube. Nick jumping up into the tilted cube, reaches a handout and gets the tag. We now move to match point for Nix. Same deal. Nick Amblo needs an evasion. Dan Van Diesel tasked with not letting that happen. Will we see the first sudden death of this Open Division Finals? Hat is on for Nick Amblo. Made sure we saw it. Nick starts over by the ridge. Lets Dan get really close. Dan flushes him out immediately. Nick retreats back to the loading bay, but Dan making short work of any trap being laid there and immediately gets the tag. We move to sudden death. The way sudden death works in World Chase Tag, both teams will throw out one chaser and one evader. It can be anybody you want. Longest time evading wins. So if Nyx throws out an evader and they evade for 10 seconds, DTF will have to evade for 10.1 second to get the win there. It is possible to go to double, triple, quadruple sudden death if everybody just keeps getting evasions back and forth, but the way that this match is going so far, I don't think that's gonna happen. We're gonna wait to see who's gonna throw who out. It's looking like Nick Amblo is gonna be thrown out for evading, first for Nyx. DTF trying to strategize who they're going to put out to tag him. You need to make smart decisions here. Do you throw out a really good tagger immediately? Do you throw out your best evader immediately? Something to talk about as we see DTF doing right now. Dan. Could be Nick. Nick starting over by the ridge. Again, longest time evading wins, but it is a spike immediately. Dan gets a quick evasion or quick tag on Nick Amblo. Sub 3 seconds, I believe. We wait for the official time. It takes about 2.5 seconds to get from one side of the quad to the other. So if DTF starts at the other side, that's almost insured as a win. It's looking like Michael Frazier is going to be chasing Dave Hagenboom as we await the official time, which is looking like it's a 2 match, and DTF will take the win there. They will go on to face the winner of Dexterity Depot Home and Nimbus. I am now here with DTF athlete Dan Van Diesel, one of our international athletes that came here to compete. Dan, let them know how the competition has been so far and how that match was.
Well, it was both ways, because I got the first evasion from the start, and then Carson got evaded, and we were like stressing all the way, like, yeah, it's Knicks, like the American champs. So we had to get just all our tags, and I mean, the sudden death came out beautifully. Don't have any words for it. I mean, Nick was quick. He's a great athlete. He's one of the best right now. But I mean, I didn't expect to be this quick. I mean, some say the world's quickest tag, like 2.3 seconds it was. So I'm happy we won. And now let's get on to the next one. And I think it's gonna be Dex Home, isn't it?
Yeah, you guys will face the winner of Nimbus and Dexterity Depot Home. So it only gets harder from here on out for you guys, I think. But we're excited to see you.
Thank you,
Congratulations on the win.
Thanks, man. Have a great time.
And that, like I said, was Dan Van Diesel of DTF. We now move on to our next match, Wall of Bees. Nothing scarier than that. And Dexterity Depot's away team. Give me Elias. Or give me. We have Gio Robinson on Dexterity Depot away team. Sorry about that. Starting over by the ridge, Devin Straley tasked with taking him down. Gio did not compete yesterday, so let's see if he's in form as he races over to the tilted cube. He's just juking back and forth, moving the entirety of the quad. Sprints across the center court. Devin having trouble closing this distance. Jukes back on himself again. It's a foot race on the front line, but it claims another one as Gio gets tagged by Devin in incredible fashion. Gio looked unfazed that he did not compete yesterday and didn't get to warm up. He looks like he's in incredible shape. We have a Roland Hannigan donning the green and black jerseys for Dexterity Depot's away team on the Chasers plate. Devin Straley starting over by the tilted cube. Roland takes the center court. Devin immediately goes over to the sisters. Races along the front line. Roland staying right above him, though, not making a move yet as Devin climbs to the top of the mountain. Roland reaches a hand up, and before Devin can cross the top of the mountain, he gets tagged. Beautiful work there by Roland. Waiting to make a move, and when he made the move, he knew he was close enough. Kept eyes on Devin the whole time. We have Zeke in the black and gold Apex Moon jersey, but he is Wall of Bees today up on the Chasers plate. Zeke, a very strong athlete yesterday, and we're about to see how he does today. Roland starting over by the ridge. Zeke wants to flush him out immediately, and he does, but Roland jukes back, gets him off balance, goes under the mountain over to the tilted cube. Roland races to the sisters to the front line. Does a lot of work in the open, Roland does. Over to the ridge again, but he jukes again. Zeke, it's a foot race now in the front line. Roland double speeds over the sisters. Time is running out. Zeke with a last-ditch effort, but nobody is home. And Roland able to get the evasion on his first time out in this match, putting Dexterity Depot's away team up 1-0 pretty early on. But Devin back up on the Chasers plate. Wall of Bees only operating with 3 athletes today. No Ian Monaghan, as he had to leave a little bit early before the competition could start. Roland over by the ridge. Devin needs to flush him out. Roland will love to do as much juking as he can. Look at him out and open. Roland loves the game DDRs. We see him dancing on the floor right now. Devin staying above him, though, on the front line as he jukes back around the lazy boy. Cuts to the sisters, but before he can make a move, Devin dives out over to the sisters and gets the tag. Devin took one step in the lazy boy and leapt over to the sisters. Now we have Gabin, one of our other international athletes, with a roar up on the Chasers plate. Gabin performing very well after his long travels here. We are going to have a false start. After you hear the athletes ready, it is a random timer for when the buzzer goes off. So you cannot time it. So the anticipation builds, and some athletes jump the gun a little bit. Another roar from Gabin on the starter plate. Devin composed as ever, starting over by the tilted cube. Gabin races under the front line as Devin shoots through the mountain, cuts back on himself to the tilted cube, makes his way to the sisters, but before he can get there, Gabin vipered through the bottom of the tilted cube and got the tag. Dexterity Depot still leading by 1. Gabin wants to extend that lead as much as he can. Wall of Bees puts out John Bildner up on the Chasers plate. Gabin starting over by the ridge. Not the usual sister start that we see from him. Gabin starting over by the ridge. John gets a little bit closer, but Gabin takes the center court. John follows close behind. Gabin races along the front line. John jumps down, descends on him to the front line, chases him, but Gabin creates a little bit more distance up over the top of the mountain. A swing and a miss from John. A quad length between the two. A little bit of time running out. John rushing after Gabin. Gabin turns around, puts his hands up, and says, "Where are you at?" as he secures an evasion. Beautiful work there from John. Recovering when he needed to and closing the distance on what is one of the best athletes we have today. Zeke up on the Chasers plate. Wants to stop this lead from getting out of control. Gabin starting over by the ridge. Lets Zeke get a little bit closer to him. Jukes back and forth, making Zeke work for it. Zeke finally flushes him out. It's a race along the front line. Zeke stumbles on the front line. Now it's a lot of distance between them. Gabin stops at the tilted cube. Zeke recovered well. Vipers through, but nobody's there. Gabin races along the front line again. Jukes out in open ground, and Zeke, not falling for it, descends down, gets the tag, and gets Gabin out of there. As we approach the halfway point of this match, we have Adrian Luis up on the Chasers plate. Zeke looks like he's going to start over by the ridge. The winner of this match will face Haroon 5, who are the top seeds. Zeke starting over by the ridge. Immediately escapes the center court. Adrian not making a move just yet. As they approach around the tilted cube, a swing and a miss by Adrian as Zeke gets a lot of distance between them. He stops over by the loading bay, kicks the mountain, but runs to the ridge, cuts to the front line. Adrian right above him descends down, and it's a car crash and a tackle of a tag, but a tag nonetheless. Dexterity Depot away team still lead this match as John Bildner is back up on the Chaser's plate. Got close to tagging Gabin. Will he get close to clagging Adrian? Adrian starting over by the ridge. Lets John get close to him. Wants to do a lot of juking. John flushes him out pretty quickly, though. Adrian cuts under the sisters, tries to put a lot of obstacles between him, cuts back on himself again. A lot of crawling, a lot of low work from Adrian here as he rounds to the tilted cube, gets under the mount, over to the loading bay. Has a lot of distance. John has to close his distance as the time runs out as we approach the loading bay again, but the lights go green. A last-ditch dive from John, but no contact was made. Dexterity Depot's away team will go 1 point further as we are in chase 10 of 16. Score is 3-0. Devin Straley up on the Chaser's plate. Adrian starting over by the ridge. Devin immediately wants to flush him out. Takes to the top of the front line. Adrian rounds the corner of the lazy boy. They both go over the sisters. Devin descends down using the momentum to tag him. It is such a tough spot if you have your Chaser close as you go around the sisters, because if they're on top, they can use all the momentum they want and get the tag there. We now have Elias Poe up on the Chaser's plate. Tasked with taking Devin down, not letting them get a point on the board would be priority for Elias. Elias up and over the starter plate. Devin takes the sisters, cuts back after the lazy boy, pauses, rolls under the sisters, but Elias just casually reaching his hand out and getting the tag. Elias, a very strong player on Dexterity Depot's away team, showing nothing but progress every time he touches the quad. We now move into match point for the away team. Zeke needs this tag to even try to force a sudden death, but that would be after a hat trick of evasions. Elias does not want that to happen. Starting over by the ridge. Zeke wants to flush him out immediately, and he does. He escapes to the loading bay. Zeke spiders into the loading bay. It's a race, but Zeke dives and gets the tag. Zeke now needs 3 evasions in a row. Not unheard of, but definitely not an easy task, especially when you have Gio Robinson fairly fresh right now on the Chaser's plate to stop that from happening. Zeke wants to create as much distance as possible, starting over by the loading bay, but runs to the ridge right at Gio. Gio immediately up on top of the front line, descends down, and one of the softer tags that I've seen Gio do. But Dexterity Depot away team leads 3-0 in that match. We are now here with Dexterity Depot's away team, but a Dexterity Depot local athlete, Elias Poe. Elias, please let everybody know how that match went and how you guys are feeling after that.
So it was like a really good match. We wanted to get Adrian out there a lot more because he's just a little he hasn't been as confident with like his skills, and I feel like that really like brought it out of him there to be able to like secure that tag and then get the evasion afterwards, especially. And like for me, I wanted to get out there and just remember I could still do it because I had some nice got banged up a little bit yesterday, but
Well, you look great out there. And your guys' next match is going to be Haroon 5 now. So that's no short of an ask for you guys.
Yeah.
But after watching you guys absolutely dominate there, I think you guys have a pretty good chance of taking them down. So
Yeah.
it's going to be great to see you out there. Elias, thank you very much. And we're excited to watch you chase again.
let's go.
We, of course, move on to our next match. We have 2-1-5 against Kidis and Co. The winner of this match will face the winner of Haroon 5 and Dexterity's away team. This is going to be crazy. The rock, paper, scissors go off. Kidis and Co win it and inevitably are going to evade first. Kidis and Co, of course, consisting of Kai Baldwin, Amy Baldwin, Sam Van Regen. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Sam. I know you sat with me yesterday. I apologize. And Danny Browers. Sam, of course, from Eugen, a very well-known name in the sport. And then we have 215 absolute powerhouses. But although they always operate usually 2 men down, they're now even operating another one after that. They only have 3 active athletes, that being Marquise, Isaiah, and Liam. As Jose did suffer an injury, and he's going to take the time to make sure it doesn't get any worse. Again, we prioritize the safety of our athletes. Kidis and Co. looking like they're going to put out Danny Browers first. We're going to see who is going to chase him. Two 1-5 have a lot of strong athletes, as they usually have to have, seeing as they're always operating, just kind of battling fatigue more than battling the teams that they have in chase tag. I talked with all of them today. They seem like they're pretty strong, little sore here and there, but nonetheless, they are ready. All right. As we move on to this next match, we have Liam McKay of 215 donning the black and red. Danny Browers on Kidis and Co. donning his black and orange jersey. Danny starting over by the ridge. Liam very well at flushing people out. Danny immediately retreats up and over the mountain to the tilted cube. He wants to stop Liam from getting any amount of distance. Cuts to the front line. Beautiful pace as he cuts back on himself again to the lazy boy. Liam not making a move just yet. Not able to close the distance as they both go under the mountain. Danny just running laps around the quad at this point. First chase, first point to Danny Browers. Very well done. Liam just not able to close the distance, and Danny doing a beautiful job keeping his eyes on Liam the entire time, juking where he needed to, and doubling back when he knew Liam might have been off balance a bit. But Marquise Brownlee up on the chaser's plate to try to stop this early lead from going any further. Danny starts over by the ridge. Marquise pushes him out immediately. It's a foot race along the center line. Stop over by the tilted cube. He wraps around, goes to the mountain, but fakes, goes back to the tilted cube. Strides over the sisters. Marquise not able to make a move just yet. Danny's doing a beautiful work, just juking and dodging, but it's not enough as Marquise dives under the sisters and gets the tag. Danny put his hands on his head saying, "I didn't think you were going to get me." But Marquise did. Marquise, a strong athlete. See if he can try to put his team on the board, but Kai Baldwin wants to make sure that doesn't happen and keep this early lead that they have attained. Marquise starting up on top of the sisters, retreats to the tilted cube, but bounds back to the sisters. Beautiful work. Kai staying above him the entire time, trying to chase him down to the loading bay, and Marquise gets tied up on the bars. Kai, beautiful job getting through him and getting the tag. Kai not stumbling at all and able to just reach and get the tag. You now have Isaiah up on the chaser's plate, an incredibly strong athlete. His reach and speed are something that a lot of people don't take into account. Kai with a thumbs up, smiles all around as he starts over by the ridge, cuts underneath. Isaiah can tag you from almost anywhere on the quad, though, as he leaps down. Kai bounces off the side of the mountain. They're just dancing back and forth now. Kai wants to keep Isaiah from getting anywhere close to him. Isaiah descends down to the front line. It's a foot race around, but Kai just putting the jets on. They get over to the tilted cube. Kai falls out of the quad, but Isaiah gets the tag. Runs into one of the posts that are over to the side, but looks like he's okay. Smile on his face, saying he's good. No problems there. Isaiah with the tag, though. Sam up on the chaser's plate again from Eugen. Came all the way over here to compete. Isaiah starts over by the ridge. Ducks underneath. Sam immediately jumps down, though, and gets the hand tag over on the loading bay. You can't leave any part of your body behind for too long. It will get tagged, and Sam proved right there. We have Marquise up on the chaser's plate. Sam staring at Marquise. I wonder if he's going to ask him if he's quick. No words exchanged, though. Sam standing idly around the ridge. Marquise flushes him out immediately, and it's over to the loading bay. Sam takes the top of the mountain. Reverse high line. Over to the lazy boy, but doubles back under the sisters. Marquise not making a move just yet. Having a lot of problem with all these bars in front of him, but jukes Marquise as Sam runs to the front line. Time is running out. Marquise does not have that many more chances. Sam takes the top of the mountain again and gets the evasion, putting Kidis and Co. up 2-0 against 215. Again, 215 operating with only 3 men, so there's a lot of rotating going in here as Isaiah takes to the chaser's plate again. Sam, undoubtedly tired from that chase. 2 thumbs up to the crowd, though. Isaiah over the front line. Wants to track Sam down, not let him get 3 points on the board. They both take over the sisters. Isaiah reaches a hand, and it's like he's on top of him already. Beautiful work there from Isaiah. We now have Amy Baldwin up on the chaser's plate. Amy competing in both divisions as well. Very strong athlete. Isaiah knows it. Head down over by the ridge is his starting point. Isaiah waits for him to get close, but immediately Dorito cuts underneath the mountain over to the tilted cube. Amy blitzes into the tilted cube, slides a leg through underneath. Isaiah cuts through the mountain, but Amy too close behind as she slides underneath and gets the tag. Kidis and Co. with a pretty dominant lead right now, 2-0. Liam up on the chaser's plate. Will he play the bongos? They stare daggers through each other. The bongos get played by Liam. Amy starts over by the ridge. Liam immediately very good at flushing people out of the ridge. He takes to the top as Amy runs the front line, jukes back and forth over by the lazy boy out in open ground. She runs the front line over to the ridge again, cuts back on herself, gonna waste as much time as she needs. Liam cuts through the ridge. It's a foot race along the front line. Amy has a decent amount of distance, but Liam cutting that distance off as they slide to the front line, and a tag gets made as Amy loses her footing and slides into the boards. Beautiful work done there, and so close to being an evasion. Kai Baldwin up on the chaser's plate as Liam starts over by the ridge. Liam says going back-to-back with the Baldwins is unfair. He starts over by the ridge. Kai blitzes at him, gets him out immediately. Liam takes to the top of the mountain, does the reverse high line. Kai puts a hand up, gets the tag, though. Before he even got to the tilted cube, they both agree that a tag was made. It's very tough when athletes are in those vulnerable positions, whether in the air. You want to make them safe tags. So even just, tapping them, trying not to put them off balance, as Kai demonstrated right there, as he has Marquise up on the chaser's plate. A thumbs-up exchange from both of them. Kai starts over by the loading bay. Cuts to the ridge, though, pretty quickly, but Marquise flushes him out. They both cut to center court. Kai jukes back and forth, goes under the sisters. Cuts around the obstacles on the front line. Gets back over to the ridge. Marquise with a bit of a stumble, recovers nicely, though, as Kai takes the top of the mountain over into the tilted cube. Jukes back and forth, not letting Marquise know where he's going to go. It's a foot race, but Marquise with a last-ditch effort dive barrels around the sideboards and gets the tag. Marquise is just a tank. Takes the stumble, gets up, and knows he has to evade. Can't let the pain get to him. You're already fighting fatigue. You can't fight your body trying to tell you to stop. Marquise with a big smile on his face and a thumbs up to Danny Browers as Danny takes to the chaser's plate. Marquise under the ridge. Waits for Danny to get close, just staring up at him. Jukes back and forth, gets to the front line. Danny above him, though, on the front line, waiting for his chance to strike. Again, cutting back, forth, over by the lazy boy. Danny reaches a hand down, and again, the lazy boy, such a hard obstacle to try to make any moves on. We now move on to match point for Kidis and Co. Danny needs this evasion to win. Isaiah needs this tag and 2 consecutive evasions to force a sudden death. Tall orders for both of them. As Danny goes under the mountain, he wraps around the loading bay. Fakes, kicks the mountain, but cuts back to the ridge. Stops on the front line, jukes back and forth. Isaiah reaches out with a hand and gets the tag on Danny, stumbling over by the sisters, but recovers well. Isaiah now needs 2 back-to-back evasions to force a sudden death and keep his team in this competition. Again, we are in tournament style. It is first round knockout. You lose, you're out. You win, you move on. Amy Baldwin on the chaser's plate, tasked with chasing Isaiah down. Big smiles from both of them as Isaiah starts over by the ridge. Juking back and forth. Amy flushes him out immediately, though. To the top of the mountain, he goes, stops, but uses the wall, I think, too much, and he knows it. Counts as a tag, and Kidis and Co. will take the win 2-0. We're going to try to have another athlete come here and join the stream. Beautiful work from everybody involved there. Definitely not easy matches to go up against 215 absolute animals of athletes. We are now joined by Kidis and Co.'s athlete, also Hollywood Freerunners athlete, Kai Baldwin. Kai, let everybody know how it was competing against 215 and how this competition has treated you guys overall.
Well, hello, first off, great job. Wow, like 215, I feel like people are finally waking up to 215, you know? They are one of the powerhouses of the sport, and I think them not making worlds was crazy. It was crazy, but I think they're going to dominate next season. Anyway, it's always an absolute pleasure. They're amazing. They're so lovely. This comp is good. We're a hodgepodge crew, as you know, Kidis and Co. We've got some illness going on, but we're here to do our best. We're here to train as much as we can for worlds and you know just lay it all out there. So I'm having an amazing time.
And you guys look absolutely insane out there. You guys will face the winners of Haroon 5 and Dexterity Depot's away team. So I think the difficulty only gets higher for you guys here on out. But we are so excited to see what you guys have in store. Kai,
Thank you,
you
Jake.
for coming around. And we
Thank
can't wait
you.
to watch more of you.
Oh, I'm excited. Let's do it.
And that was Kai Baldwin of Kidis and Co., also your world champions currently, Hollywood Freerunner. We now move on to our next match, which is going to be Dexterity Depot home team and Nimbus as we move on to our quarterfinals. Dexterity Depot's home team consists of Aaron Lucas, Paul Fisher, Alex Mosley, and Mike Myers, all athletes firing on all pistons today. But Nimbus, consisting of Frank Mejia, Logan Piner, and Elijah Van Vijver, not going to be an easy task for either team. Let's see how this goes. The winner of this match will be facing DTF. Dexterity Depot's home team put out Alex Mosley. Nimbus put out Logan Piner on the chaser's plate. Alex starts over by the ridge, cuts back to the loading bay very quickly to get up and over the mountain. Logan just taking some time to get close to him, getting a little caught up in the bars. Alex immediately cuts to the front line, wraps around to the ridge again, to the loading bay, not letting Logan get too close, but Logan cutting down the distance very quickly, reaches a hand out and gets the tag on Alex before he can escape the sisters. A very quick-paced first chase for them. Paul Fisher up on the chaser's plate, hoping that Logan is a little tired after that. Logan taking his starting place around the outside of the ridge. Waits for Paul to get close to him, stares directly up at him. Paul flushes him out and chases him to the loading bay where he's able to get a very quick tag. These quick tags are very crucial for any team. The quicker you get the tag, the less stamina you use. Elijah in the orange and black jersey up on the chaser's plate, but playing for Nimbus, who are usually donning the blue and purple jerseys. Paul making a hard at Elijah, but starting over by the ridge. Elijah flushes him out immediately. Paul retreats to the loading bay and under the mountain. He stops at the tilted cube, but keeps running to the sisters. Stumbles a little bit, but Elijah not able to make a move. Elijah just off balance as Paul rounds the corner of the loading bay. A quick pace match. Elijah reaches out, gets a tag. Paul with his hands on his head. Unbelieve that he got tagged there. Elijah with possibly a bit of a bonk on the head. Says he's okay, maybe just shaking the cobwebs off. We're going to wait as Elijah might have hit his head a little too hard. We're checking for any cuts, making sure he's okay. Again, safety is our #1 priority here, especially when the quad is made up of nothing but steel and wood. It is unforgiving. Elijah, though, has to stay on to evade now as Mike Myers, the course killer, is up on the chaser's plate. Elijah starting down underneath between the mountain and the loading bay. Jukes one way, goes to the tilted cube, though. Immediately hurdles the sisters as he takes to the front line. Mike not able to close any distance, create a trap, slides through the loading bay, but nobody's home. Elijah takes to the top of the mountain into the tilted cube. Mike makes a last-ditch effort swipe and gets the tag. Score remains 0-all. Such crazy paced matches we have so far. Frank Mejia up on the chaser's plate. And Mike Myers starting over by the tilted cube. Frank darting off the chaser's plate, and Mike immediately takes double speeding over the sisters. Frank to the top of the front line as he descends down on Mike and crashes into the sideboards, but gets the tag. Alex Mosley back up on the chaser's plate. Haven't seen any Aaron Lucas yet. Maybe it's a strategy to keep him as fresh as possible when they need him, especially when the score remains 0-all. Or is Alex the answer to Frank Mejia's antics? Frank takes to center court, cuts back to the back of the quad to the mountain, through the tilted cube, or through the mountain. He stops over by the loading bay, runs over to the ridge, jukes back and forth, does a lot of movement of the legs. He just doesn't stop. Double strides over the sisters. Alex in the tilted cube after him, reaches a hand out and gets the tag on Frank, not letting him play his game. Beautiful work by both competitors. Alex just waiting for his chance to strike, and he takes it. Logan Piner now up against Alex. Alex looks like he's going to start over by the tilted cube. A little bit of deep breathing from Alex. Alex starting over by the ridge. Logan tries to flush him out immediately, but Alex retreats back to the mountain, takes around the tilted cube, doubles back on himself, kicks the sisters, but this time he's going to go over it, but gets tagged before he can make it there. Very quick work. We're seeing a lot of tags around the tilted cube area and the lazy boy this weekend. And now we see him out. Aaron Lucas up on the chaser's plate. And Logan Piner up on top of the lazy boy. They're both staring at each other. Logan starts at the top of the lazy boy, immediately jumps down to the sisters, jumps into the tilted cube. Aaron jumps onto the sisters, reaches a hand out very quickly and gets the tag. Those antics will not work against Aaron. He's all about business, and he will hunt you down as quick as possible. Nimbus looking like they're going to throw in Elijah. Score remains 0-0 as we are in chase 9 halfway through this match. Aaron starts over by the ridge. He immediately cuts backpedals to the loading bay. Up to the top of the mountain in a very interesting fashion, but Elijah just too quick to get behind him and secures the tag. Paul Fisher now up on the chaser's plate, pushing Elijah off, saying, I don't want you over here. Elijah, though, touching the chaser's plate. Retreats immediately back around the outside of the ridge. Paul wants to flush him out immediately. And jumps down and tags him. Says, I'm not playing your game. You're playing mine. And if there's anybody who loves to play these type of games, it's Frank Mejia. Frank says, come on, Fishman. Let's reel him in. Paul starting center court. Just kind of sauntering back and forth, not picking a designated spot. Paul retreats over to the sisters. Stops, pauses. But Frank just dives through the bottom of the tilted cube. Slides like a penguin. Gets the tag on Paul before he can escape over the sisters. Insane pace that these athletes have continued to keep all the way through. But Mike Myers, tasked with taking down Frank. Frank starting over on top of one of the sisters. You keep your chaser guessing where you're going to be going. He immediately cuts to center court, but does a lot of jumping back and forth. Gets to the top of the mountain somehow over to the tilted cube. But Mike not just falling for anything and is able to tag him, cutting off all of the quad, running through the center. And immediately Logan Piner up on the chaser's plate. Mike starting over by the tilted cube. Will the first point win it for either of these teams? Mike over by the tilted cube, waits for Logan to get close, but races under the mountain. Logan has to cut down a decent amount of distance, and Mike doubles back to the tilted cube again under the sisters. Logan above him, cuts back over by the lazy boy. Logan dives through the top of the bars in amazing fashion, gets the tag and lands on his feet. The score remains 0-0. This is where the fatigue can start to wear in as these tags come out faster and faster. Logan takes the top of the tilted cube. Alex tasked with taking him down. Logan jumps to the top of the mountain, pauses, cuts back, does the reverse high line. Alex close in tail though, jumps down from the front line. It's a foot race around the outside of the quad, but he catches up to Logan before he reaches the ridge. We are now on match point at 0-0. An evasion will win it for either of these teams, or we go to sudden death without a single point on the board. Elijah up on the chaser's plate. Alex starting over by the ridge. Alex immediately takes to the back of the quad, takes the top of the mountain into the tilted cube, but Elijah hurdles inside the tilted cube, hurdles over the front of it and tags Alex before he can escape. We now move on to match point for Nimbus. But to stop him, Dexterity's home team have Aaron Lucas up on the chaser's plate. Elijah's telling him where he's going to go with a big smile on his face. Do you choose to believe him? Counting down, trying to get in the head of Aaron. He runs to the top of the mountain, but jukes it. Didn't stick true to his word. Stops around the sisters. Aaron crawling underneath. Reaches a hand out. And gets the tag before falling out of the quad. Beautiful work, Elijah, acknowledging it. We go into sudden death at 0-0. For anybody that is new here, sudden death, each team throws in an evader and a chaser. The longest time evading will win. Nimbus is throwing in Frank Mejia. Ideally, you want to get an evasion, but if you can't, you need to get it as long as possible. Dexterity Depot home, putting in Mike Myers. Frank slamming the ground under the mountain. Staring at Mike, waiting for him to come towards him. Frank stays there, lets a little time, dances a little bit, cuts back under the mountain, through it, gets over to the loading bay. Mike immediately jumps into the tilted cube, reaches out, gets the tag. We wait for an official time, but I believe it's going to be a sub 7-second tag. Dexterity Depot will throw out Paul Fisher. Nimbus put out Logan Piner as we wait for our official time. Incredible pace both teams have kept up with. The first point in sudden death will most likely choose the winner. Unless Paul can only evade for the same amount of time, which it's possible, but I don't think it will happen. The official time is going to come in, and it is looking like it is 6 seconds, 6.2 seconds. Paul has to evade for longer than 6.2. Ideally, you want to start as far away as possible. Let them waste as much time. Logan knows he needs to just run at him. The first attempt is the only attempt at this point. Paul starts over by the ridge, but immediately Dorito cuts under the mountain over to the tilted cube. Logan needs to rush at him. Paul gets away, and is that going to be it as he rounds the corner and gets the evasion? That will be the win in sudden death for Dexterity Depot's home team. We are now here joined with Alex Mosley of Dexterity Depot's home team, but also Dexterity Depot's official chase tag team. Alex, that was an insane match. 0-0 to sudden death. The first point will win it. How do you guys feel about it?
I mean, we feel pretty good, right? I mean, it always feels good coming off a victory, but those Nimbus boys worked really hard. It's always super fun playing against them. They definitely pushed us. So, yeah, it was great.
Very nice. Now, Alex, let us know, how has the competition been so far?
Oh, it's been high level, man. We've been chatting about it throughout the whole weekend. That's just like every team has some high level to it, and it's just so competitive, but it feels so fun also. So.
Amazing. You guys, with that win, do move on to the semifinals. So we will see who you will be facing very shortly, and we are very excited to watch you guys. Alex, thank you for coming by, and it's going to be great watching you.
Thank you, Jake.
And that was Alex Mosley of Dexterity Depot's home team as they move on to face DTF. We now move on to our next match. We have Haroon 5, top of the seeds in their group, as they face Dexterity Depot's away team. Dexterity Depot away, winning the rock, paper, scissors, and putting Gio Robinson out to evade. Grant Kinningham, a powerhouse right now, up to chase. Gio starts over by the loading bay, cuts to the mountain, over to the tilted cube, and doubles back on himself through the mountain. Grant sliding on the floor like a penguin, swiping, but nobody home. Gio running around the outside of the quad, gets to the tilted cube again. Just doing a lot of footwork here. Grant's got to make a move. Time's running out. Swipes, goes to make the tag, and makes the tag before Gio can get away from him. A possible run into one of the bars for Grant. Hopefully nothing too serious and just a tweak. Grant's hanging his funny bone on his knee with big smiles on his face, so I believe him. Grant has to stay on as the evader, as Dexterity Depot's away team put in Roland Hannigan. Grant immediately running back like the injury's not even there. Roland needs to chase him down as he takes to the top of the mountain. Roland chasing right behind him and gets the tag before Grant can even round the corner. Haroon 5 consisting of Grant Kinningham, Gabriel Torres, and Radwan of Rooftop Kings. Not competing today as he did tweak his ankle yesterday. So it is just a two-man team. Roland starting over by the ridge. Gabe Torres to chase him with a classic bucket hat. Roland lets Gabe try to get close to him. Flushes him out of reach, but nobody's home. Roland takes to the top of the front line. Over the sisters to the tilted cube. Cuts back. QM's under the sisters to the front line. Now it's a foot race around to the ridge. Gabe cutting down the distance, but nobody's there with a little bit of a stumble. Roland cuts again on the front line, doing a lot of dancing. Over the sisters, cuts to the mountain again, and gets the evasion on Gabe, which is no easy task, but he does it, and with a roar of excitement from him in the crowd. Dexterity Depot's away team take 1-0 early on. Again, Haroon 5, only two men right now. Grant Kinningham has to go back in. It's a battle of endurance. Roland wants to extend this lead. Starting over by the ridge, Grant immediately flushes him out. They both take to center court. Roland fakes under the sisters, cuts back, and it gets him off balance. Takes to the top of the mountain, gets away from the hand of Grant. No tag is made. Roland back over by the ridge. Of dive, but nobody's home. Roland with a little bit of distance again. Time is running out. Grant has to make a move, and he gets the tag over by the lazy boy as time was running out. Grant was able to make it work, but now you have Gabin up on the Chaser's plate. Will we see the roar that he's been doing all weekend? There it is. Grant knows he's in for a hard chase here. Can he shake off the injury that he might have had as he starts over by the ridge? Gabin bounds on top, tries to flush him out, just leaps over the ridge like it's not there, but Grant getting a lot of distance, cuts back to the front line. Gabin ducks underneath the platforms, jumps out, and gets the tag on Grant. Gabin up on the evading spot. Gabe Torres back in. Again, it's a battle of endurance. Gabe immediately flushes him out. Doesn't want Dexterity Depot's away to get any more points. A little bit of a stumble from Gabin, but Gabe the same way. It's a race around the center court. Gabin takes to the front line as Gabe reaches out his hand and gets the tag. They need to try to save as much stamina as possible, but they are working 1 point down and 1 man down as Gio Robinson, 5-star himself, is up on the Chaser's plate. You do not want to be against this man, as when he tags you, he will leave a handprint. Gabe starting over by the ridge, labored breathing. He watches Gio get close and retreats over to the loading bay, fakes that he's going to go on top of the mountain. Gio falls for the trap, but reaches out as he escapes underneath and gets the tag on him. And yet again, we have Grant coming back in. It's Gabe and Grant. They just have to keep switching here. Dexterity Depot not able to extend the lead anymore, but they still do have a lead nonetheless. As we approach the halfway point, Gio starting over by the tilted cube. Grant showing he's a very strong athlete. Goes under the front line. Gio goes to the sisters, ducks back underneath as he goes back to the tilted cube, moving the entire tilted cube. He runs over the sisters, takes to the front line. Grant jumps on top of the side of the ridge, but nobody's there. Gio doing a lot of footwork, not making a move, gets too close to Gio, and Gio gets tagged in the end. Too much footwork. Did it spell disaster? As Dexterity Depot throws in a pretty fresh Elias Poe, as we've not seen him in this match so far. And Grant, we've already seen multiple times. Grant starting over by the ridge. Grant immediately jogging back to the loading bay, gets to the top of the mountain, but he cuts back on himself, gets over back to the ridge. Elias jumps down, no tag is made, and too much distance is made. Grant takes to the high line, beautiful footwork along the bars. He fakes back and forth, gets back over to the ridge. Time is running out. Elias has to make something happen now. A reach is out, no tag is made, and that will be an evasion. It is all tied up, 1-1. The two-man team showing they are still in this match. Roland Hannigan up on the Chaser's plate. Grant, smile on his face, but definitely starting to feel the burn of the lungs. Trying to get as much oxygen as he can. Starting at the center quad, he retreats over to the loading bay, actually to the ridge. Cuts back on himself, though, goes under the mountain. Roland dives after him and secures the tag. We move on to Chase 11. Score is 1-1. And by nobody's surprise, it is Gabe Torres up on the Chaser's plate. Radwan, captain of Rooftop Kings, giving him maybe some last-second pointers here. Try to keep calm in the face of danger that they have. Roland starting over by the ridge. Roland letting Gabe get a little bit closer to him. A reach goes out, but nobody's home. Roland takes to the top of the front line, over to the sisters, stops at the tilted cube. Gabe slowly approaching him, dives over the tilted cube, and gets a full hand on Roland's shoulder. Secures the tag. If Haroon 5 is able to get a point advantage, that will be insanity, but it is not impossible. Just a tall task. Gabin, our international athlete, up on the Chaser's plate. Gabe starting over by the ridge. Just waits a little bit, but he evacuates to the loading bay. A swing and a miss on top of the loading bay. Gabe takes the reverse highline, stops at the lazy boy. Gabin closing the distance, though, reaches a handout and gets the tag on Gabe. And like clockwork, Grant kidding him is back up on the Chaser's plate. Gabin starting over in the classic start by the top of the sisters. He could do a lot over here. As he waits for Grant to get closer, gets over to the cube, bit of a slip, but he recovers nicely. Under the mountain, over to the loading bay. Grant has to close the distance. He's just waiting for his time to strike. Gabin stops at the loading bay, makes Grant second guess what he's doing. Gabin getting a little bit more distance around the ridge. Grant not able to close the distance. Last second dive, but nobody is home. Lights go green, and Gabin gets the evasion there. Grant just breathing heavily. Dexterity Depot's away team do now lead by 1 point as we are 2-1. Chase 14, match point for Dexterity's away team. Gabe Torres needs to get a tag, needs to evade to force a sudden death. Gabin starting over by the sisters. Gabe, like he's not even tired, just rushes at him. It's a race along the front line. Gabe reaches a hand out and gets the tag in convincing fashion. We are still on match point for Dexterity's away team. Gio Robinson tasked with taking down Gabe. Is a tired Gabe what he needs right now? He's still operating what looks like at 100%. He needs this evasion to tie it up and force a sudden death. Gio immediately flushing him out of the ridge, chases him to the loading bay, reaches a hand out and gets a very quick tag. A stomp of frustration from Gabe, but the win will go to Dexterity's away team. We now have Dexterity Depot's away team, but also a part of the official Chase Tag team, Roland Hannigan. Roland, let us know how that chase went and how you guys are feeling moving forward.
That match was tough. I mean, you can go into a match like that and think they're down to 2 players. This is going to be an easy win. But when you have 2 of the best players in the whole sport out there, like with the cardio that Gabe and Grant have, like they're just as good as a team of 6. You know what I mean? Like they can push through, and like we didn't take any single one of those chases lightly. Every single one mattered until the very end, no matter how tired they look or they got. Like it was rough.
Yeah, you guys were able to get an early point on the board,
Yep.
maybe thinking you were in a pretty comfortable position, but then they immediately came back and tied it up.
Yep.
You guys were able to just get the edge out there, got the win, and now your next match for the semifinals is against Kidis and Co. So I do believe you need to get some bit of stamina back because that is a pretty big challenge coming up next for you guys. But we are excited to see it. Roland, thank you for coming by, and we can't wait to see you on the quad again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jake.
And now coming in next, we have Haroon 5's Grant Kinningham. Grant,
What is up?
my man, please give us some insight how it is competing with only 2 athletes against what is known to be one of the best American teams out there.
Oh man, it is challenging for sure. The nerves before were crazy high, but I stepped up on the starting play. It's like, all right, got to lock in, give it all I have. And yeah, we went out there and missed a key tag, ended up giving them the win, but that's something I'm going to live and learn from and continue to get better each day.
And learning from, Grant, we've seen you on the quad, not as many times as we've seen other people, but every time you're on it, you are an absolute powerhouse and showing you are able to compete or even go beyond some of the biggest names here. And we are very excited to see what's in store for you next. Grant, thank you for coming by, and it was a pleasure watching you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We now have a small little break before our semifinals matches, which will be Dexterity Depot's away team and Kidis and Co. on one side, and Dexterity Depot's home team against DTF. We'll be right back. Hang with us, and the chase tag will continue shortly. All right, we are back with the semifinals match. Dexterity Depot's home team against Dudes Tagging Fast, aka DTF. Dexterity Depot's home team comprising of Aaron Lucas, Paul Fisher, Alex Mosley, and Mike Myers. DTF consisting of Dan Van Diesel, Carson Palmer, Amos Randau, and Dave Hagen Boom. The winner of this match will move on to the finals. We will wait to see who they will face in the match after this one. And DTF have won the rock, paper, scissors. They put out Dave Hagenboom as an evader, starting by the ridge. Paul Fisher as the chaser. Dave retreats back to the loading bay very quickly, up and over the loading bay. But Paul leaps up onto the tilted cube, waist height, and wraps his arms around Dave in a quick tag to open this matchup. Damn near moved the entire tilted cube out. We have Carson Palmer up on the chaser's plate. Paul starting over by the loading bay. Waiting to see what he's going to do. He tries to sprint over to the ridge, but Carson with those long arms reaches out and gets the tag. Alex Mosley up on the chaser's plate now. Carson starting over by the ridge. Alex jumps up onto the ridge, flushes him out. Carson retreats over to the loading bay, juking back and forth. Alex setting up a spider, though, reaches out, nobody home. Carson gets away, runs to the front line, runs around, double speed over the sisters as they get to the tilted cube. The speed is insane. Another reach out from Alex, but nobody is there. Carson with a lot of distance. Time is running out, and the green lights go off. Carson running laps around the quad, and a early 1-0 lead for DTF. Aaron Lucas up on the chaser's plate. He is tasked with making sure this lead doesn't go any further. Carson head down, heavy breathing on the ridge as his starting point. Aaron darts out at him, flushes him out immediately, jumps down and gets the very quick tag. A dangerous position to be in if you're DTF. Aaron Lucas getting a quick tag and reserving all his energy, but DTF answer with Dan Van Diesel up on the chaser's plate. Aaron Lucas excited that Dan is there to be the one chasing him. Starts over by the ridge. Aaron immediately Dorito cuts under the mountain over to the tilted cube. Dan slowly approaching the tilted cube, gets up inside, ducks underneath the bars, and as Lucas slides, Dan slides with him and secures the tag. Dan Van Diesel is very quick. Calling some of his matches over the seas, but seeing him in person is another thing. Michael Myers, the course killer, up on the chaser's plate. Dan Van Diesel starting at the closer end of the ridge towards the plate. Dan backtracks, try to keep the ridge in between him and Mike, but Mike flushes him out as they approach the loading bay. Mike sets up a spider, dives out, gets the tag. Dan puts up the thumbs up saying, "You got me." Another quick tag from Dexterity Depot's home team, but they do still trail 1-0. Dave Hagenboom, originally of Eugen, in a Hollywood Freerunner jersey, playing for DTF. It's confusing, but we will get there. Mike Myers starting over by the ridge. Jukes around like he's going to go to the loading bay, but doesn't run to the front line under the sisters. Incredible on his hands and feet, under the mountain. Nothing can stop this man as he rounds the corner of the ridge. Breakneck speed on the front line, but a hand comes out from Dave and gets the tag. Incredible speed from both athletes, but Dave just doing the little bits of cutting off in the center court, securing the tag for them and keeping the 1-0 lead as we approach the halfway point of this match. Paul Fisher up on the chaser's plate, tightening the headband. Dave starting over by the ridge. Waits for Paul to get close to him as he retreats over to the loading bay up on top of the mountain. over to the top of the tilted cube. Knows what Paul's gonna do next time. Paul, it's a foot race on the front line. Paul's trailing behind him, has to cut him off. Dave will be happy to just keep sprinting as he stops over by the tilted cube again. A dive from Paul, but nobody's home. A second last-ditch dive, and the tag is made. Incredible hustle from Paul. So many times he had the tag at fingertips away, but he was able to secure it in the end. Dave just not able to get away, but they still lead 1-0. Carson Palmer up to tag Paul. Did that chase take a lot out of him? We are yet to see. Paul starting over by the ridge. Waits for Carson to flush him out. It's a race on the front line. A hand comes out from Carson as Paul gets tagged out in the open. And Aaron Lucas back up on the chaser's plate. As Carson just casually walks over to his starting point. Carson residing over by the tilted cube, head down, trying to catch his breath where he can. But Aaron immediately runs at him. Carson takes the top of the sisters, cuts back on himself over by the lazy boy, and damn near pushes Carson out of the quad to get the tag. A little bit of exchange of words and laughs from both teams. Aaron says, "Don't play with me." As Dan Van Diesel, is this the answer to Aaron? Aaron starting over by the ridge. Aaron waits for Dan to get close as he retreats back to the loading bay. Dan tries to set up a spider inside the loading bay, but Aaron, a little bit of a stumble as Dan capitalizes on it and gets a very quick tag on Aaron. DTF still lead 1-0 as we move into the Chase 12. Alex Mosley up on the chaser's plate. Dan in the center of the quad. Thumbs up to Alex. Alex with a thumbs up back. Dan cuts across to the back of the quad over by the tilted cube, but doubles back on himself under the mountain. They both get over to the loading bay. Alex tries to set up a trap, dives out of the loading bay, and gets the tag on Dan in convincing fashion. That is one way of getting one of your quickest players out of there, but Carson Palmer back up on the chaser's plate. The reason DTF is up 1-0 is for this man right here. And it was against Alex, but now the roles are reversed. Alex starting over by the ridge. Alex doesn't wait for Carson to close the distance. He immediately runs under the mountain, but Carson hot on his heels. It's a race along the outside. Carson tries to cut him off as they run back to the ridge, cut back to the loading bay, and a hand comes out from Carson, and the tag was made. Carson not falling for trailing behind Alex, able to cut him off where he needed to, got center court control, and secured the tag. Michael Myers up on the chaser's plate, though. Heavy breathing from Carson, and rightfully so. Carson starting over by the ridge. Mike flushes him out immediately, but Carson doubles back on himself, knowing that Mike didn't fully commit to it. They're going to waste a little bit of time here. Over by the loading bay, Carson pounds on top of the mountain. A reach, but nobody's there. A hand goes up from Mike, but they're going to continue the chase. Mike jumps down, gets the second tag. If he tagged him the first time, he's good enough to tag him twice. Dan Van Diesel, the workhorse of this DTF team right now, it seems, up against Mike to try to keep this lead. We are in match point, though. If DTF get the tag, they will win. Mike needs to get an evasion to force a sudden death here. Mike over by the ridge. Dan tries to flush him out, but Mike cutting back and forth. It's a race along the front line. Mike around the lazy boy. Dan with a swipe, but nobody's home. Under the sisters, and Mike gets tagged. DTF will take the win. Amazing match there from DTF and Dexterity Depot's home. There was a chance we were going to see both Dex teams face off. We still can for the third place, but for now, I am joined by Carson Palmer. Carson, an amazing showing out. You got the initial score there, and you guys were able to just play defense the whole time. Please let everybody know what was running through your mind and how you feel that match went for you guys.
Let me tell you, right before the match, I was more nervous than I think I've been before a tag comp. Sorry, I'm so out of breath. But Amos gave me a great pep talk right before. He talked to me about mentality and how I should adjust it in the moment we had. And I took that, got my tag on Paul, and then, you know, you never know when you're going to get an evasion. You just hope for the best, and it happened. And I was like, oh, Amos, thank you. So, yes, very happy with it. Very happy we took that game.
Well, Carson, that was an absolute incredible showing from you. Like I said, you got that early tag or early evasion. You were able to just hold out, keep that defense. It was incredible to watch you guys. You guys will now face the winners of Dexterity's away team and Kidis and Co. So I think the hardest match is still yet to come. But you guys did amazing, and it will be very exciting to watch you guys. Thank you very much,
Thank you so
and we're
much.
excited to watch you. That was Carson Palmer playing on DTF today at Dexterity Depot's Chase Off 4. We now move on to our second semifinal match. We have Dexterity Depot's away team against Kidis and Co. Kidis and Co. putting out Sam from UGen initially against Adrian of Dexterity's away team. Adrian starting over by the ridge. Sam wants to flush him out immediately, and he does, over by the loading bay, and a quick hand tag on the loading bay to shut down that chase. There was a chance, like I said, that we saw both Dex teams facing each other, and we still can. If the away team loses this match, they will face for third. If they win, they will face DTF. Sam starting over by the ridge, throwing a hard out at Gio, but Gio, known for his very aggressive tags. Let's see if Sam will receive one. Gio tries to flush Sam out from the ridge, and he does. Sam takes to the front line, slows around the lazy boy, but up over the sisters. Gio hot on his tail, slides under the mountain, and gets the tag at incredible pace. Kidis and Co. look like they're going to be throwing in Danny Browers up on the Chaser's plate. We haven't seen too much of Gio this weekend, as he didn't compete yesterday. So let's see how he does evading somebody as formidable as Danny on this team. Gio starting over by the tilted cube. Danny bounding over the top. Gio cuts back on himself under the sisters. An interesting route. Goes to do it again, but Danny directly in front of him. There's nowhere to go. The only place to go is back on the sidelines because you got tagged. Roland Hannigan up on the Chaser's plate now. He resembles that of Lightning McQueen in person. You could definitely verify that one if you ever meet him. Danny Browers standing over by the ridge, staring daggers through each other right now as they wait. Danny waiting, and Roland doing a very good job flushing him out, but as he descends down from the ridge, he's able to get the tag very quickly. And it's one of those dream matchups. Two quick, just fireballs. Roland Hannigan and Kai Baldwin. If this match is going to be anything, it's quick-paced, as we've seen so far. Roland starting over by the ridge. Kai, breakneck speed off of the plate. A reach immediately goes out. It's a foot race on the front line. And Kai gets the tag in a sub 7-second tag against Roland. Is no easy task, but Kai was able to do it. You got one of the quick guys, but now the other one's out here. Gabin with a roar on the Chaser's plate. Kai starting over by the ridge. Guy, just like Kai before him, immediately off the plate. Kai wasting a little bit of time, wants Gabin to make a move. Gabin finally flushes him out. They go over by the loading bay, up on top of the mountain. Kai, reverse high line. Gabin has a little bit of distance to make up. Kai just juking an open ground here, runs on the front line. It's a foot race. Gabin's got to close the distance. Time is running out. A reach goes out by the loading bay, and Kai gets tagged by Gabin with almost no time left on the board. 19.5 seconds for sure. Sam back up on the quad. International athlete to the U.S. against international athlete to the U.S. Sam against Gabin. Gabin starting over by the ridge. Juking, trying to get Sam to fall into any trap he can, but Sam up and above him, flushes him out finally. Gabin races through the mountain, up into the middle of the sisters, makes Sam double think. It's a foot race along the front line. Sam reaches a hand out, and a tag gets made there. Gabin succeeds the tag there, says, yep, you got me. Good job. And Roland Hannigan comes back into play. Sam knows how quick Roland is. Let's see what his plan is here. As he starts over by the mountain, Roland cuts through center court, stops over by the tilted cube. Sam goes through the mountain over by the loading bay, juking back and forth, but Roland setting up a trap for him, dive through the loading bay. Little bit of frustration from Sam, but there's not much you can do when Roland is being shot out like a gun from that loading bay to get a tag. Kai Baldwin, though, he seems to be the answer to Roland. They had an incredibly fast-paced match before. Will it happen again? The score still remains 0-0. We're already halfway through this match. Roland retreats early to the loading bay, but Kai immediately cuts through center court, setting up a trap on the loading bay. Roland goes to jump around the ridge, nearly jumps out of the quad as Kai gets another quick tag on Roland. This game is being played at such a high level. These 0-0 matches are just so back and forth. Sub 10-second chases. Gio Robinson up on the chaser's plate to tag Kai. Make sure they don't get a point on. Kai starting over by the ridge. Allows Gio to get close to him. Gio needs to flush Kai out. He'll stay here as long as he needs to. And he's showing that he's doing that. Kai, it's a foot race on the front line. They both dart up over the sisters as there's a foot race in the back of the quad. A swipe comes out from Gio and gets the bottom of the foot of Kai. Beautiful work from Gio. Incredible pace that he kept. But if you dealt with one Baldwin, now you got the second one. Amy Baldwin up on the chaser's plate. Tasked with tagging Gio, getting him out of here. Will we see the second sudden death 0-0 game today? Gio starting over by the tilted cube. Amy immediately darting through the center court. Gio thinks about going under the mountain, but cuts back on himself again, doing a lot of work over here by the tilted cube. Gets through the mountain. Amy, no contact made. Gio's over by the ridge now, waiting. Another swipe from Amy, but no contact. Gio hops up on the front line, wraps around the lazy boy, doing work out in open field, but not enough. Amy cuts down the distance and damn near body slams Gio onto the ground, but gets the tag nonetheless. The score remains 0-all into chase 12. Gabin hyping up the crowd. Amy starting over by the ridge. Amy immediately gets flushed out. Gabin takes the top of the front line. She tries to jump through the lazy boy, but gets caught by a bar. It doesn't work out for her. She holds up the OK symbol as she walks off the quad. Kidis and Co puts Sam up on the quad now to chase Gabin. Gabin starting in his very usual spot. Gabin staring at Sam, waiting to see what he will do. He retreats back to the tilted cube. Beautiful juke there. As he goes over the sister, sprints along the front line, doubles back on himself in open field, but Sam has those long arms, proving to be pretty tough for him. We have Roland up on the chaser's plate. Score remains 0-all. That match point of 0-0 coming up close. Sam starting over by the ridge. Roland flushes him out immediately. Sam pretty quick, trying to get Roland to double guess himself here. It's a sprint along the backside. A beautiful pass, but Roland hot on the heels of Sam, not letting him get away. Near identical movements through the backside of the quad. And secured the tag match point. And for the third time, we have Kai Baldwin to chase down Roland Hannigan. If Roland gets an evasion here, they will win. Roland starting over by the ridge. Kai flushing him out immediately. It's a frontline chase. Roland doubling back on himself, but Kai too close, times out and gets a tag. You can't get away from this, man. What do you have to do? Now we switch match points. If Kai can get the evasion, they will win. Gabin with a roar and a stomp on the Chaser's plate. You have Kai against Roland, then you have Gabin against Kai. Kai starting over by the ridge, but immediately goes back to the loading bay to the top of the mountain. He jumps, does the reverse highline. Gabin staying very close to him. Makes it like the Lazy Boy's not there, but tagged his hand. We have a second 0-0 sudden death. If you're new to the stream and new to Chase Tag, sudden death, each team throws in a chaser and evader. The longest evasion wins. Kidis and Co putting in Sam. If Sam evades for 10 seconds, that means the away team for Dexterity would have to evade for 10.1. That's how you win this. It can go to double, sudden death, triple, and so on if the teams just keep getting back-to-back evasions. Gio Robinson, tasked with taking Sam out of here as quickly as he possibly can. Sam with a couple smacks on the face as he's over in between the mountain. Gio racing at him through center court. Needs to flush him out as fast as possible. Sam gets away over the sisters. Remember, any second is important here. He jukes Gio over by the tilted cube around to the ridge, wasting a lot of time into the front line. Gio above him, can't make a move. Slaps Sam on the shoulder to get the tag. Aggressive tag that is. We're going to wait for the official time, but that was a very long chase. Gio saying, sorry for the hard tag, but I had to do it. We're going to wait to see what the timer comes down to for the official time, but it was definitely a sub 16 second tag. It's looking like we're going to have Gabin evading and Kai chasing him. As the timer goes down, Sam is yelling at him to stop. He doesn't want it to get any lower. The official time is 14.7 seconds. Gabin has to evade for 14.71 to get the win here. Kai needs to make sure that doesn't happen. Gabin starting dangerously close to him, though. Kai racing at him as fast as possible. A lot of jukes at the ridge. Gabin immediately has to run on the front line. It's a sprint from him over the sisters like they're not even there. To the back of the mountain. He's just constantly running. Kai can't close the distance. It's a race along the front line again. A dive, but nobody's there. And Gabin able to get away. A roar from everybody. Kai not able to cut down the distance. Dexterity's away team takes the win in sudden death. That was absolute insanity of a match there. We're gonna have Gabin over here.
Hello.
The reason that they just won that in sudden death. Gabin, please take a seat. You deserve it. Please let us know. How the hell did you guys just pull that off in sudden death, a 0-0 match? Oh, okay. So in a 0-0 match, everything on the line, what was the mindset that you guys had?
J'étais tellement stressé. He was so stressed. Mais de toute façon, on est là pour y aller. J'ai que 16 ans. He was here to go. He pushed it through it. On y va et il y a que ça à faire. De toute façon, on est là pour s'amuser. This is the only thing that he is very, very good at. Not the only thing, but you understand. He's very good at it. So he did his game. Et maintenant, on est en finale. And now he's in final.
And you guys will be facing DTF.
Yes.
I know you guys have some history with facing Dan Van Diesel, so now we really get to see it in the finals of this chase-off. Are you guys ready for it?
Il y a de l'histoire contre les adversaires qu'on y a ici. Moi, je connais pas trop les joueurs, donc il y a de l'histoire entre eux. Comment tu te sens contre eux franchement, c'est tous des bons joueurs. Il y a que Dan qui me fait un peu peur. Mais franchement, je les prends tous.
They are all good players. Dan is the most talented players for him, and he said that he can take them all. So except Dan, he can take them all. Even Dan, I think he can get it.
I fly, bro. I'm flying.
Oh, I love to hear it, and I can't wait to watch you guys back out there for the finals. Get as much rest as you possibly can now, because we're going to be continuing shortly here. Gabin, amazing work. Thank you guys so much. Incredible work. We're going to take a little bit of a break here, give the athletes some time to rest as they deserve it. Please stay tuned with us during Dexterity Depot's Chase Off 4. We will continue very, very shortly. And we are back with our third place match. Winner of this will determine, of course, who is the third place in the Dexterity Depot Chase Off 4. We have Dexterity Depot's home team up against Kidis and Co, who did just have a pretty grueling match, but the show moves on. Dexterity Depot's home wins the rock, paper, scissors, and they will be evading first. To read off the list here of athletes, Dexterity Depot home, you should be no stranger to. We have Aaron Lucas, Paul Fisher, Alex Mosley, and Michael Myers. Kidis and Co, Kai and Amy Baldwin, Sam Van Regen, again, sorry if I butchered your last name, Sam, and Danny Browers. After this match, we will have the finals, but first, we have Aaron Lucas up, evading first, and Amy Baldwin on the chaser's plate. Aaron starting over by the ridge. Immediately, Dorito cuts under the mountain, saunters over, under the mountain now to the loading bay. Amy wants to set up a trap, but Aaron not having any part of that. Races across the front line. Amy doing really good work on top of the front line. She reaches down, but nobody's there. Aaron with a lot of distance. He stops over by the loading bay before going to the ridge. Jukes back on himself over to the loading bay. Time is running out, but Amy not able to close the distance needed. First chase, first point for Aaron Lucas in this match. Sam, originally from UGEM, playing on Kidis and Co, one of our international athletes here, puts up a thumbs up to Aaron, but Aaron doesn't see it. Aaron with a very early lead, the earliest lead you could possibly have in this game, starting over by the ridge. Sam wants to flush him out, and he does. He backs up over to the loading bay, ducks under the mountain. Aaron with a little bit of a stumble. Sam practically catching him before he hits the ground, which also results in the tag. Beautiful sportsmanship from both athletes there. Paul Fisher up on the chaser's plate. Dexterity home really want to just defend right now. Sam starting over by the ridge. Paul immediately flushes him out. They both run over to the loading bay. Sam takes to the high ground of the high line, over to the lazy boy. He stops, pauses, goes back on himself, slides on his knee. Gets around to tilt the cube, a swing and a miss by Paul over by the tilt the cube, but Sam not able to get away, and a roar of frustration from Sam, and a hug of embrace from both of them. Paul able to get the tag. Kai on the chaser's plate after we just recently saw him in a grueling match against Dexterity's away team. You're not out of it yet. You got to face their home team. Paul going to be starting over by the ridge. Kai with breakneck speed. Over the front line, tracking Paul down over to the loading bay. He spiders through the loading bay and wraps his hands around Paul. A lot of embracing tags here. Paul might have gotten clocked in the face ever so slightly on the tag. Thumbs up, though, as he shakes off the cobwebs. Alex Mosley up on the chaser's plate. Kai starts over by the ridge. Just stays there for a little bit before backing off the loading bay. He runs up on top of the mountain, the reverse high line, as he tracks to the front line, doubles back on himself, gets away from Alex. It's a foot race around the side. He goes up again on top of the mountain, does the reverse high line again, doesn't touch the ground until the front line. Alex has to close the distance here. He jumps out of the quad, but there was still time on the board, and that will count as a tag for Alex. The time wasn't just out, but I think he might have been off balance rounding the corner. Kai has done that at a championship before, and it worked for him, but this time it will result in a tag for Dexterity. Alex now on invading. Danny Browers has to chase him down. Alex climbs to the top of the mountain before jumping down to the loading bay. Ducks under the ridge. Danny hot on his heels. It's a foot race around the front line, but a tag is made in blazing fashion from Danny. Michael Myers immediately up on the chaser's plate. Danny starting over by the ridge. Danny waiting for Mike to make a move. he's going to waste as much time here, but Mike jumps around the ridge before flushing him out. He does a dive and gets the tag. Beautiful work there from Mike. Making Danny think he's safe around there, but by the time he flushes him out, he's already hot on his heels. Amy Baldwin back up on the chaser's plate. Mike starting over by the ridge. Amy climbs up on top of the obstacles in front of it. Crawls after Mike a swing, but nobody's there. Mike with a little bit of a stumble. He recovers. Jumps around the ridge again. Tries to get away from Amy, but Amy just like a missile hunting him down and gets the tag. Dexterity doing a very good job at keeping this 1-0 as we are in the halfway point of this third place match. Amy starting over by the ridge. Aaron Lucas putting binoculars up to see where she is. Amy backs up to the ridge, Dorito cuts under the mountain, over to the tilted cube, slightly hesitates, and Aaron able to capitalize on that. Gets in there and gets the tag. Sam on the chaser's plate. Aaron wanting to keep Dexterity at this 1-point lead, if not, extend it further. Sam almost with a false start, but he keeps his balance. Aaron over by the tilted cube, races over the sisters. He runs to the front line. Sam keeping beautiful center court control, though, but he has to make a move at some point, and he does. Gets the tag under the mountain. And that was beautifully done. Alex Mosley now up on the chaser's plate. Kidis and Co. Not in the danger zone yet, but you hear the song playing, you know? As we approach the last leg of this match, Sam starting under the mountain. Sam waiting for Alex to cover some distance. He backs up to the tilted cube. Alex slowly approaches to the top. They both go over the sisters. Alex descends down from the front line. They both wrap around under the ridge. Sam back over by the tilted cube, running, but doesn't keep his eyes on where Alex is, and Alex was right in front of him, and it was too late to make a move. Beautifully done there. Alex Mosley starting over by the ridge. Kai Baldwin up on the chaser's plate. You know it's going to be quick-paced. He bolts off that starter's plate. But Alex doing a really good job at juking back and forth. But Kai just dives through the bottom bars of the ridge and secures the tag. Kidis and Co. need to make something happen. We're approaching the end of the match, and Dexterity still have a point lead on them. Paul Fisher up on the chaser's plate. Kai starting over by the ridge, but Paul making short work of the ridge, possibly making Kai think he was going to go up on top, but Paul immediately jumped down. Said, if you're going to make my nose bleed, I'm going to tag you as fast as possible. Danny Brower's up on the chaser's plate now. Paul starting over by the ridge. And that will be a false start on Danny. We will restart. All right, we are back after the false start. Paul's still starting over by the ridge. Danny not going to false start this time. Waits for the buzzer to go off. Paul, Dorito cuts under the mountain, over to the tilted cube. Just stalling Danny is right now. He sets up a little bit of a spider trap. Jumps through. Paul's gone already in on the front line. A little bit of a stumble, but he recovers very nicely. We're back by the ridge. Paul's going to stall here as much as possible. Wants to extend this lead by another point. Gritting the teeth, Danny is, as he runs out of the quad. And the lights go green. And that will be match point for Dexterity Depot home team. They take home the third place. And we are joined here by the third place winners, Aaron Lucas of the Dexterity Depot home team, but also the official Dexterity Depot World Chase Tag Team. Aaron, please let everybody know what's going through your guys' mind and how that match was.
Yeah, that match was super tight from start to finish. I've never actually gone out first for Invasion, so it was super fun to get the leadoff point. Amy is an absolute stud out there. It's so cool to see her, fighting against us. But I had to give it back to her in the second piece. So super fun. Love playing those guys. Definitely gets us ready for Worlds. We were definitely going into this mentality, just trying to get a litmus test for the next 3 months. Got some stuff to go back to the drawing board for, but we're excited to watch Roland's team here come up and hopefully get first place here. That'd be good.
And it's definitely an exciting moment to have you guys in third and potentially the away team in first, which also comprises of, some members of your official team. So that right there for this chase-off proves that you guys are a force to be reckoned with. And I can't wait to see how the away team does. Congratulations to you guys. Well, it was amazing.
Not only that, Tim's not playing. So we got another ace up our sleeve that nobody's ready for. But I appreciate it, Jake. I'm excited to watch this match.
Aaron, thank you very much. It was exciting watching you. And let's get on to the finals match, which is Dexterity Depot's away team against DTF. I am so sorry. Oh yeah, against DTF. All the pink jerseys start to confuse me here. DTF won the rock, paper, scissors. They will throw out Carson Palmer in the finals. The winner of this is the winner of the chase-off for Gio Robinson up on the chaser's plate for the away team. Carson Palmer starts over by the ridge, immediately cuts back to the loading bay. He runs back to the ridge. Big foot race along the front line. Gio trailing behind, falling into the trap, though. Needs to gain some distance here. Carson will gladly just run around the perimeter. They both go over the sisters. A reach goes out from Gio. No contact is there. Time is running out. First chase, first evasion. Another one on the board. We see it from Carson. Beautiful work. Can Gabin redeem the team right now early on from that first point loss? Carson starting over by the ridge, a roar from Gabin, as we've seen before. Like a bolt of lightning off the starting plate we're about to witness. Carson starting under the ridge. Gabin immediately flushes him out, gets through the loading bay, reaches a hand up, and gets the tag. Beautiful work there from Gabin. Carson conceded it, said, yes, you got me. Now the match we've been waiting for. We heard Gabin before on the live stream saying Dan is one of the best players, but I can take him. I can take them all. We have Dan Van Diesel of Rooftop Kings up on the chaser's plate. Gabin starting over by the ridge. Staring daggers at each other. Gabin waits for Dan to get close, flushes him out over to the loading bay, kicks off the mountain, stops. Dan setting up a trap, gets away from him though. It's a foot race along the side. On the sisters, Gabin goes across the front line. Dan's closing the distance, reaches out, nobody's home again. Gabin over by the loading bay, looks up at the time. Dan getting closer in the loading bay though. Gets the tag with only seconds to spare. Amazing work by Dan. If anybody's gonna make him work for it, it's Gabin in this competition. But it's not over there. You have Roland Hannigan, another bolt of lightning up on the chaser's plate. Can Dan keep this lead, if not extend it further for his team? Dan starts at the ridge, backs up to the loading bay, kicks off the mountain. Roland reaches a hand out around the loading bay, though. Got close enough to get the tag. Beautiful work by Roland. But again, we have Carson Palmer, the reason the away team is down a point. Roland daps up Carson. Beautiful sportsmanship we're seeing in the finals here. Roland's going to retreat over to the ridge, which is going to be a starting point. Carson blitzes off the starter plate. Roland immediately takes off on the front line. Makes Carson think he's going somewhere, but Carson books it over the top of the front line and reaches out at the same time, covers so much distance and gets the tag. Gets Roland's other eye. He got a bruise on his eye from a tag yesterday. The other eye's taking a beating. Gio Robinson up on the chaser's plate. Carson tasked with keeping DTF in the lead here. Starts on the ridge. Gio immediately flushes him out, though. Gio with the aggressiveness moving around, but stumbles just a little bit. And it's a foot race on the front line. Carson getting away, a swipe. Nobody there, though. Carson retreats over to the tilted cube. Gio jumps into the tilted cube, has to get the distance covered. Carson getting away again. Time is running out. A last-ditch effort dive, and nobody is there. Carson doubling up the points. Incredible work from Carson Palmer, putting 2 points on the board for DTF in the final as we are in chase 7 of 16. Gabin, though, up on the chaser's plate, leaves Gio hanging, unfortunately. Will it be in the mindset of Gabin? Hopefully not. Gabin hypes up the crowd. Will we see a shutout in the finals? Carson surprised that the buzzer goes off. I don't think he heard it, but Gabin missed. Carson stumbling. Gabin reaches out and gets the tag. And yet again, will Dan Van Diesel be the answer to Gabin? He was able to do it before. Will he be able to do it again? Dexterity's away team, halfway through the match, trail by 2. Gabin starting over by the ridge. Dan takes off. Gabin immediately goes through the mountain, stops over by the tilted cube. He takes the top of the sisters, but Dan just too close behind him. Speeding up with every obstacle he touches and secures the tag. DTF still in the lead. But again, you get Gabin out. You have the problem of Roland as the chaser now. Will you possibly be able to tag Gabin and get away from Roland? Let's see if Dan is up for the task. Dan starting over by the sisters. Roland immediately getting to the tilted cube very quickly. Over to the sisters. It's a foot race on the front line. Dan wraps around the ridge. Stops at the loading bay. Roland wants to set up a trap, but Dan tries to get away before he can do it. Successfully does it. Back under the sisters. Roland speeds up, reaches a hand out, and gets a tag with only seconds to spare. We were definitely in the last leg of that chase. Dave Hagenboom up on the chaser's plate. Dexterity's away team. 10 chases in. Need to put a point on the board. Dave wants to play defense as much as possible here for his team. Roland leaves the ridge and starts over by the mountain. Dave immediately cutting through center court, and Roland runs through to the ridge again. He'll stall here as much as he needs to. Roland keeps his legs moving. Like, again, there's a DDR machine below him. A hand comes out from Dave, but nobody's home. Roland dives through the mountain, wraps around to the loading bay, cuts back on himself, comes back on himself again. Too many second guesses on his part, and Dave able to capitalize and gets the tag. Incredible work. But now the reverse. You were able to tag Roland, but can you evade Gabin? Dave starting over by the ridge. Gabin flushes him out immediately. Dave gets to the loading bay, cuts back to the ridge. It's a foot race on the front line. Who has more speed? Gabin abandons the plan, but reaches around the lazy boy and gets the tag on Dave. DTF still lead 2-0. Gabin up evading, and who else to be put up to the challenge of tagging him than Dan Van Diesel. Dan on the starter plate. Gabin starting over by the sisters, so that we've seen multiple times in this weekend. Gabin retreats back to the tilted cube. Dan just slowly working at him, reaches out, but nobody's there. Gabin with a lot of distance, wraps around to the ridge before cutting off to the loading bay. Gabin escapes the hand of Dan. It's a foot race, but Dan able to get the tag. Both athletes just moving at 110% the entire time of the chase. We are now moving to match point. Will it be a shutout in the finals for Dexterity Depot's away team as they still trail 2-0? Gio needs to get a tag and then evade twice to force a sudden death. Dan starting over by the ridge. He goes back to the loading bay before going over to the tilted cube. Gio sitting idly, reaches into the tilted cube, but Dan's not there anymore. Goes over by the loading bay. He pauses, jukes back, forth, making Gio think. Gio wasting a lot of time, dives through the loading bay and gets the tag. A lot of time was getting wasted there. But now Gio needs to evade some of the best athletes in this competition. Carson Palmer, again, the reason DTF is up 2 points. Can he close it out as well? Gio starts over by the tilted cube. He chases Gio over to the tilted cube. Gio goes under the mountain, stumbles a little bit. He gets to the loading bay, and that will be it. The tag was made. A roar from Carson Palmer. And your winners of the Chase-Off 4, DTF Dudes tagging fast. Carson putting up the 2 points early on, and they were able to play defense perfect. Your runners-up, Dexterity's away team, and your third place winners, Dexterity's home team. Incredible matches here on out. We await the awards that are going to get handed out shortly here. Let us know in the stream what your favorite match was or who your favorite athletes were against each other. Again, I have been your commentator and host for the weekend, Jake Migliorato. It has been a pleasure and an honor to call these matches for all of you. The insanity and the bar have been raised yet again. All athletes just absolutely firing on all cylinders all throughout the weekend. Incredible here at Dexterity Depot for their Chase-Off 4. No, I'm good. Thank you. We're going to leave the stream up as you're going to watch the ceremony, the award ceremony go off, and the podium. Thank you all for showing up. It has been fun chatting with all of you from all around the world, it seems. And we hope to see you guys again for another competition in the future. And we're definitely going to see all these teams in various competitions and in the world competition later this year.